All right, Commissioners, it's 3 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the October 19th Internal Services Committee to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the adoption of the agenda. Take a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt, Drollet.
Second, Haw.
Motion from Drollet, second from Haw. Please vote to adopt the agenda. Thank you. Next up is public participation. Anybody wishing to speak, please star 6 to unmute yourself, or just take yourself off of mute. You can put your name in the chat box. You can just unmute yourself and say your name. Anybody for public participation? Public participation for a second time. And third and final call for public participation. All right, with that, we will close public participation. If we missed you or you couldn't get off mute, there's another one before the end of the meeting. And with that, we will move on to department recommendations. Item 5A, this is a full board approval that is being requested for a budget amendment for a capital improvement fund for the Clemens Center facade repairs project in the amount of $24,894.
Motion to approve.
Support, Haw.
Motion from Duje, support from Haw. Lynn, I know you're there.
Yes, I am.
All right, go for it.
As you may recall, this board approved the contract with North American Construction Enterprises, LLC, in the amount of $119,556 for the Clemens Center facade project. The scope of the project was to remove a portion of the drive-it system, tuck point the brick where needed, and paint the surface for a uniform appearance. Prior to developing this scope of work, a small amount of drivet was removed in random locations along the front exterior to determine that brick was behind the drivet system. All of the test areas uncovered revealed brick, but when the contractor commenced removal of the drivet, it was discovered that block rather than brick had been infilled in numerous locations. Based upon this discovery, we believe the most cost-effective solution is to skim coat over the brick and block for a uniform appearance, rather than trying to cut out the block and infill with brick. The contractor was provided the new scope for pricing. Upon receipt of the pricing, Patrick Finland, he is the architect with Partners in Architecture, reviewed the pricing submitted, and it is his opinion the cost breakdown, along with the credit for painting, appeared fair and reasonable. Please note we also added the removal of a sign that has deteriorated along northbound Gratiot. We are therefore requesting the contract with North American Construction Enterprises, LLC, be amended to reflect the increase of $24,894, along with the corresponding budget amendment in the same amount, which brings the total contract amount with North American Construction Enterprises, LLC, to $144,450.
Thank you, Lynn. Are there any commissioners with questions or comments? I don't see any on my list.
Mr. Chairman, Don Brown.
Commissioner Brown, go ahead.
Thank you. What year was the building built, Lynn?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I certainly can give you that information. I know that when we purchased it, that drive-it was already on the building. I gotta believe it was from maybe the 60s, middle to late 60s.
Okay. So it's just the vagaries of an old building that we didn't know what was inside it. Okay.
Certainly, we didn't know totally what was behind that drive-it system. We think that just before the installation of that drive-it, they decided to infill some of the existing windows, and rather than replace it with brick, which would have been more expensive, they used block.
Was the solution bid out, or was it used by the existing contractor that gave us an estimate for the revised type of work?
Well, we took bids on this project, and this would essentially appear as a change order. So it was competitively bid, and at this point, we would not go to a different contractor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ha.
Mr. Chair, this is not a question for Lynn. I was just wondering if John Shepka was on the line. We just had 2 retirement board meetings, and based on the new Senate protocol for these type of virtual meetings, it was mandated you had to take a roll call, and each individual had to identify where they were speaking from during the virtual meeting. So I was wondering if John was on the phone, on the virtual meeting before we get too far into this. Just a heads up.
Thank you, Commissioner. I haven't seen him. Patty, Adriana, any of you know?
Commissioner Ha, this is Patty, Commissioner Kraft. Do you mind if I speak?
Go ahead.
Because we have unique credentials for each commissioner through our board sync or our civic clerk system, we have a roll call vote for every vote.
But do you have to, according to John, we had to identify the location from which we were remotely virtualing into the meeting. Just a heads up.
We have the IP address from everybody.
Okay,
so
well,
I can check into.
We're covered.
Yeah, I can check into it further, but I truly believe that we're pretty covered at this point.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you both. Commissioner Kraft from Chesterfield. Commissioner Kleinfeld, you're up next.
Yeah, Patty, I have to agree with Harold. What the legislation said was that the individuals had to state in the open meeting, not their IP address. And I forgot about it at the beginning of this because I was doing something in between, or I would have said something. During roll call, you're supposed to, we can do the roll call on the system, but each commissioner has to state where they are during this meeting. Where is the location they're sitting at? And an IP address doesn't satisfy that for a public meeting.
Jim Carabelli, Macomb County.
We can do that. I don't have a problem doing that if we,
Thanks, Commissioner. We already have a motion and support for this item. If we want to, we can vote on this item, and then afterwards I can do a roll call to see where everybody's at.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Let's do that. All right. Are there any other questions or comments on this agenda item? All right. Hearing and seeing none, please vote on item 5A. All right. We will do a roll call vote. Just so I know you're all here, I'm going to go through the list.
Hey, Phil, excuse me for 1 second. This is about
Sure,
go ahead. Is there a, like in our public participation, do we need address? Do we need city? Do we just need street? Do we need, my house? I mean, what do Harold or Veronica, you guys heard that? I haven't heard this yet. What was the...
We actually heard it from 2 different attorneys, and all we did, I said, Veronica Kleinfeld, I'm at home in East Point.
And it's not applicable to public participation. It's strictly the board members.
No, my question was how detailed does it have to be? Like address or...
I just said Roseville, Michigan.
Township.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to establish that you're not doing it from Hawaii.
Does it matter?
It shouldn't, but...
Nope, I lost you. But
I wish I was in Hawaii.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
All right, we'll go around the horn. I don't know if Crystal wants to read everybody off, or I could just do it. It doesn't matter. I'll go for it. If I forget anybody, let me know. We'll start with Commissioner Duge.
Well, I'm nowhere near Escanaba, so I'm in Warren. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Drolette.
My chair, Macomb Township.
Commissioner Kleinfeld.
At home in East Point, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Kraft is in my home in Chesterfield Township. Commissioner Haw.
Roseville, Michigan.
Commissioner Sauger. Commissioner Sauger.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Commissioner Carabelli.
Carabelli Cox, Shelby Township, Michigan.
Thank you. Chair Smith.
Chair Smith in Clinton Township, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Apple Trees of Washington Township.
Thank you.
Did I hear apple trees?
Apple trees, yes. I don't believe Commissioners Romano or Lucido are here.
My Jack from Sterling Heights.
Thank you. You are next. Commissioner Leonetti?
Harrison Township.
Perfect. Did I miss anybody? Perfect. All right, good. Everybody's present and accounted for somewhere in Macomb. Next up, item 5B, full board approval requested for contract amendment, North American Construction Enterprises, LLC, Clemens Center Facade Repairs Project in the amount of $24,894.
This is my Jack. I'll make the motion. Support.
All right, motion from Duge, support from MyJack. I don't believe we have any other questions. Commissioners, please vote. And Lynn, if you're still there, thanks for sticking around to listen to where we're all from today.
Yes, I am, and I'm in Macomb Township, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks, Adriana. Thanks again, Lynn. Next is item
Thank
5C, budget amendment for the capital improvement plan, physical servers for the server farm in the amount of $51,898.50. I'll take a motion to approve that for full board. Full
So moved by
board.
Commissioner Brown.
Support Carabelli.
Motion from Brown, support from Carabelli. Jaco, I see ya. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We have 2 data centers, and from time to time we have to buy additional servers to serve our virtual farm. Reason being because we need more resources, whether it's processing resources, memory, and so forth. So this purchase is budgeted for this year, and we need to purchase another 2 servers, one for each data center that we have. So that is what this purchase is for.
Thank you, Jaco. Any commissioners with questions or comments? I'm not seeing any. Commissioners, please vote. Thank you, Adriana. Next is item 5D, purchase Trace 3 physical servers for the server farm, amount of $51,898.50.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Motion from
Support by Sauger.
Support from Sauger. I don't see any comments or questions. Commissioners, please vote. Thank you. Next is item 5E, budget amendment, capital improvement plan for voice gateways in the amount of $766.73. Take a motion to approve that to full board.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Support Duty.
Support by Mintek.
We'll say support from Duje on that one. Jaco, go ahead.
A voice gateway is a mechanism that translates voice and fax calls from a public telephone network to our internal county network. We are buying new voice gateways. Our current equipment is 7 years old, so due for replacement. There is 6 of these devices, and at different locations throughout the county. So that is to upgrade these devices.
Thank you, Jaco. Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jaco. Was this an item that was in our original 2020 budget?
It is an item that was it was not in our original 2020 budget, but we have money available in our capital budget to purchase these devices.
Was it that we just didn't anticipate needing them this quickly, or how did they end up not in the budget originally? But
it was items that's not included in the software-defined networking project. We also did not upgrade these devices in the previous go-around of upgrading. It's a Cisco device. It's in essence a router, and we didn't upgrade them in the previous go-around. So probably a few months ago, we found that we have these 7 or 6 devices that we have to replace that is too old.
So they're currently failing, or
they're not failing yet, Commissioner, but we anticipate that that's going to happen, and they also end of life for maintenance, so we cannot continue maintenance.
Okay, I appreciate that. I was hoping we had anticipated some of these things and had put them in the 2020 budget, but I know we can't anticipate everything.
We absolutely do our best to do that, and this is an oversight on our part.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a reminder to everyone, please mute your phone if you're not speaking or asking a question. Thank you. Next up is Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Jacob, question for you, sir. You say it wasn't budgeted for, but there's money in the budget in the capital plan. Explain to me how that works.
It is just this year, Commissioner, we actually, quite a few of our projects that we're doing or supposed to do this year, because of CARES Act, we have really reduced a significant amount of the projects that we were supposed to do this year. And it's just from a time standpoint, we just don't have the bandwidth to do all of them. So at this point in time, we have some surplus money available.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if I can ask Crystal a question. Crystal, are you there?
Yes.
Do you have a list of projects that are not being done that's in the capital plan, and how much funds are left in the capital plan that are unallocated that were allocated?
We get the annual plan at the beginning of the year, and then we get quarterly reports. So our most current one would have been when we got the second quarterly report. So I can take a look at that and share that with you.
If you could, I'd like to see if it's CARES Act or whatever paid for some of these projects, what funds that were allocated are left in there. Because we had a surplus for emergency repairs and different things. I'd like to know, to see the status of where we're at, because right now, I guess everybody's just in the dark as I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't see any other questions or comments on this item, so Commissioners, please vote. Thank you. Next up is item F, purchase Presidio Network Solutions Group LLC for the voice gateways in the amount of $48,766.73. Take a motion to approve.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Motion from Kleinfeld. Is there support?
Support Duzey.
Come on, guys.
Support from Duje. Just because I said to make sure your phone's on mute doesn't mean it has to stay on mute. All right, seeing no questions or comments, please vote. Thank you. Next is item G, budget amendment, capital improvement fund, the Mentis AI Smart Bench licenses for circuit and probate court expansion in the amount of $123,984. I'll take a motion to approve that to full board.
So move, Hall.
Motion.
Support by Brown.
Motion from Hall, support from Brown. Jaco, go ahead.
This is a request for approval of the expansion of Macomb County Circuit Court's AI Smart Bench with buying additional licenses for judges as well as some of the staff. I think there's 10 judges and 27 staff members. AI Smart Bench is the judicial interface for the court's on-base and true filing solution. The software has allowed the judges to process their dockets with ease and has allowed for a significant amount of work to be handled remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. The reason this is not a CARES Act project is that earlier this year, we did come to the board with a request for, I think at that point in time, it was probably 3 or 4 judges to purchase this, so it was a budgeted item for 2020, and for that reason we could not do this under the CARE Act funding.
Thanks, Jaco. Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Chair. Jaco, you just mentioned that this was originally a budget item for 3 or 4 judges. Why wasn't it budgeted for the number of judges that we're now providing it for?
The budget at that time, this was just in the beginning of COVID-19. The number of judges that the circuit court decided on at that point in time was they just wanted to roll it out to a few more judges and not do any more at this time. And then as far as I know, during the COVID situation, this became more important for them, and that's why we are back to ask. At that point in time, I think we had a $97,000, if I remember correctly, budget line item for this. We used the first go around 46 of that. I know that John Neisel is on the line, if he can maybe chime in as well.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jaco. Initially we started out with 2 judges. We had Judge Toya and Judge Kathy Viviano piloting out this project. They saw a lot of utility in the project, and it was coming to fruition right about the time that COVID started, at which point I talked to 5 additional judges at that time. It was actually 5. Jaco said 3 or 4. And they were interested in taking it, using it, getting used to it. So we expanded it to them, and now it's working pretty well for everybody. Everybody's starting to get used to it. So now it would be nice to get the additional judges up and running on it now that we've seen that the program is working.
Okay. Jaco, I'm sure you run it by both Steve and legal to find out if the additional expansion for the additional judges could be potentially covered under COVID, being that we weren't planning on doing those additional expansions, and COVID has kind of prompted that.
That is correct, Commissioner. I did take it to the to the CARES Act committee to request this being done through CARES Act, and it was denied on the basis of the fact that it is a 2020 project. I understand that might not have included all the judges, but the decision was made that one of the criteria of CARES Act is that it cannot be an existing project. And that is the name of the project. So the decision was made at that point in time not to move forward. And I had a discussion then with Mr. Schmiegel about this, and he preferred that we do this through capital funding rather than CARES Act.
Okay, and I guess the final question, if our initial plan was to roll it out for 3 or 4 judges and see how it worked, and pay for that in 2020, and then potentially expand it in 2021 if it did work, is there a reason why we just wouldn't do this in 2021 as originally planned, instead of adding to the 2020 budget?
I don't know of any specific reason other than the circuit court would like to move this forward.
Okay, thank you, Jaco. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't see any other questions or comments on this item. Commissioners, please vote. Thank you. Next is item H, Statement of Work, ImageSoft Inc., Mentis AI Smart Bench licenses for circuit and probate court expansion in the amount of $123,984. Take a motion to approve that to full board.
Myjack makes
So moved,
Chairman.
Brown.
I got a motion from Myjack and support from, I believe, Brown.
That's right.
Perfect. Seeing no questions or comments, commissioners, please vote. Thanks for being here, John.
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is item I, budget amendment, capital improvement plan, automated user interface testing tool in the amount of $35,826. Take a motion to approve that to full board.
Motion by Hall.
Motion from Commissioner Hall. Is there support?
Support.
I heard support. Who is that from?
Brown.
Thank you, Commissioner. Jaco, go ahead.
This scope of work provides for the purchase of and implementation of a solution that will automate user interface testing that we use to verify whether an interface is running correctly. A user interface is the front end of the application that facilitates interaction with users on the screen. This is something that will help us really improve the quality of applications and as well as improve the amount of time that we take to do this type of testing. And really, at the end of the day, all county departments will benefit from something like this.
Thanks, Jaco. I don't see any questions or comments, but I have a couple questions. I see on there that there's an allowance for $2,000. It's on the automated UI testing tool document. What's that allowance for?
Commissioner, I have to verify what that allowance is for. I do not know.
Okay. And then my second question before I jump over to Commissioner Gillette, it has year one of the solution, and then it says Agria Solutions as the contractor. But when you go to year two of the solution, that section for contractor is blank. Is that just assume that it's Agria for both years?
Sorry, Commissioner, can you ask that question again?
Sure. On the Metro Technology Services document, it says scope, year one of the solution, and then contractor is Agria Solutions, and then it gives the contract amount. And then it has year two of the solution, and then there's nothing on that line for contractor and the amount of $11,000. That's just assume that it's Agria, correct?
Yeah, it's just the first year needed. We don't need any for the second year.
Okay.
And then maintenance on the system kicks in year 3.
Thank you, Jaco. Commissioner Drollet is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Jaco. Same question. Is this something that we had budgeted for in the 2020 budget? And if not,
yes.
What prompted it? Is it something we have in the budget?
Yes, it's in a budget line under IT for automated testing.
Okay, thank you so much.
If I remember correctly, the amount was $80,000.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Jaco, real quick, can you shoot me an email with what that allowance is for before full board meeting?
I will let you know.
Thank you, Jaco. All right, seeing no other speakers, commissioners, please vote.
Ow.
Thank you. Next item J, purchase Agria Solutions, Inc. Made a user interface testing tool in the amount of $35,826. Take a motion to approve that to full board.
So moved, Drollet.
Is there support? I have a motion to support.
Support Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Commissioner. And whoever's chewing in the please stop. Seeing no comments or questions, please vote.
I think the chewing is from Johnny Appleseed from Washington Township.
That was going to be my guess, too.
Commissioner, if I can just mention here, I requested some more information, and the reason they put in that 2,000 is this is something completely new that we are doing, and the staff was felt like a $2,000 variance is important because they were not 100% sure that it will turn out, with the spending that we do for the vendor, that it would be enough. So that's what the $2,000 is for.
Thank you, Jaco. Adriana, did we get a vote count on that last item? Thank you. All right, next is item K, maintenance agreement, Bentley Microstation, SignCAD Open Roads Designer, Leap Bridge Systems for Roads in the amount of $37,903.12. Take a motion to approve that to full board.
Support by Mr. Brown.
I heard Commissioner Hogg, Commissioner Brown. It's quiet for some, everybody jumps in for others. Jaco, go ahead.
Commissioners, this is just the regular maintenance that we come to you from time to time as they become due. The Bentley licenses is a Department of Roads item, an application that they use, and this is about $35,000, so it's the first time we're coming to you with this. The other one, Presidio Voice Flex, we are requesting to sign a 5-year contract. This is something I talked earlier about, the voice routers. Our maintenance on our voice system, we've been paying it, for many years since we had this. But for us to keep the maintenance at a, acceptable level, we decided that signing a long-term contract with this vendor is going to be beneficial to the county. We had an option of 3 years, which was about $1,000 a year more expensive, or 5 years, and decided to request our maintenance to be purchased at this price.
Thank you, Jaco. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Drollet.
Jacob, why do you are making me ask it again? Was this budgeted for originally?
Yeah, it's we've paid it every year for the past.
Okay, the 37,009.
For the past, I would say since 2007 is when this was implemented. This specific one, specific reason for this one, it is just they changed their contract. It's a different contract, but at the same time, they also told us what the pricing would be over the next 3-4 years, and we have the option of signing a 3-year agreement. Obviously, we can pay year by year. That will be extremely expensive. We can sign a 3-year agreement or a 5-year agreement. So we're just coming to you to purchase or to sign a contract to continue paying the maintenance. We've paid this, like I said, every year. I think this past year we paid just in excess of $150,000.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, seeing no other speakers, commissioners, please vote on item K. Thank you. Next up is item L, Agreement Presidio Network Solutions Group, LLC, Voice Flex on Premium Calling in the amount of $154,496 per year. Take a motion to approve that to full board.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Support by Leonetti.
Thank you. Motion from Kleinfeld, support from Leonetti. Jaco already spoke to this. Seeing no speakers, commissioners, please vote. Thank you. Thank you, Jaco.
Thank you, commissioners.
All right, next up is item 6, new business. Any commissioners with new business?
I have new business. This is Myjack.
Go ahead, Commissioner Myjack.
I think it would be new business. So I would go through the chair to either a member of our staff, maybe Crystal, or Chair Bob Smith. I'm looking here at a purchasing department purchase order. I got this via email through, I believe, Vicki Wolber. It was for 20,000, let's see here, medical exam gloves. And the cost was $559,000. I'm just wondering, does anybody know, did this go out for bid? And did we get the best price per unit on this? Or could we find that out?
This is Crystal. I can ask Vicki Wilbur about that purchase specifically.
Okay. I mean, I'm like the reason why this up is because over the last couple of years there have been many commissioners, offhand I'm thinking right here of Leonetti and Carabelli, where they looked at some of these orders. We're ordering a large quantity here, 20,000, and there's a unit price, and I'm just thinking, are we getting the best deal for that, actually? I was actually thinking of kind of going online and doing some homework myself to look at that, but just want to make sure we're following all the rules in terms of going out for bid for a project that's over $500,000. So if you can get back with me, Crystal, or send us out an email on this, that would be great. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
I believe that Vicki will be doing her regular update at full board on Thursday, so I can let her know you're hoping to hear more about that also.
Great, yeah. Thank you so much, Crystal. Thank you,
You're
Chair.
welcome.
Thank you both. Commissioner Ha.
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up on the conversation we had about identifying locations of board members, I'd like to suggest that prior to our next meeting, we get John Chapka on the phone because we had to adopt a resolution at both retirement board meetings that we were going to follow that policy moving through the end of the year. So maybe John can explain it to everybody. Just my thought. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I just wanted to mention briefly, I received some more information on that as well. The Open Meetings Act amendments impose a new requirement for any member of the public body participating remotely to publicly announce at the outset of the meeting that he or she is participating remotely. If the announcing member's remote participation is for any reason other than military duty, the member must announce his or her physical location by stating the county, city, township, or village and state from which he or she is attending the meeting remotely. The member's public announcement must be included in the meeting minutes. But we can also talk to John about that as well beforehand. Any other commissioners with new business? All right, seeing and hearing none, we will close new business and move on to public participation. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, you have 5 minutes. Make sure you unmute yourself by using *6 or hitting the mute button. If you would wish to speak, you can put your name in the chat. You can just speak up. Again, public participation. Anybody willing to speak? Public participation going twice. Third and final time for public participation. All right, hearing none, we will close.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Drolette, support from Duge. Please vote. And we are adjourned. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody. You too, Chair. Take care, everybody. You too, Chair.